So I'm back with another episode of How Good Are X Weapons. Today we're gonna take a look at Necromancer. Necromancer has a lot of very good weapons, they are very useful, and today I want to cover how good are weapons regarding power scaling, condi scaling, hybrid scaling, and how good they are in competitive modes, in whatever mode you want to use them on. This video is more for people that want to get some theory crafting going for themselves, that don't want to rely on other people crafting their builds for them, and just people that want to get some information on all the weapons. So it's good for new players that want to learn about the weapons and the game, and it's also helping veterans to discuss some theory crafting and just weapon design. So if you're interested in that, be sure to stick around. And now let's start with the first weapon. So we will start with the two-handed weapons. So we have Greatsword. Greatsword is a very nice power weapon. It is slow, but it's very aggressive in what it can do. It has a lot of damage. It has even some nice AoE boon conversion. It's very nice with the pull as well. The cooldowns in World vs. World are abysmal, but it's still very useful in what it can do actually there, just because of the very crazy good kit. It's a power weapon. It has some nice chill application, but other than that, it's clearly power based. It does some nice life force and is very fun to use on a Reaper. You can use it on a power harbinger, but I would say it's not really useful there for the most part. It's more a Reaper weapon. It's just by design, it's very strong there. And I would say it's also buffed by the trade. So overall, it's a very good power weapon, and I think it deserves a spot as a power weapon. It's most power builds use a Greatsword in PvE. It's just that's how it is. Yeah. And we have Staff. Staff is an interesting one. Staff in PvE is not very that useful on a county or power build because it only has 4 marks that actually apply some nice damage. Also have some condis, but not a lot of them. You have some nice condi transfer and a blast finisher, but the auto take is complete garbage. You don't use it. But the main skills are actually useful on some builds, but it's mostly a competitive weapon. It's very good in competitive modes, especially on condi builds, because of all the really nice long range attacks and of course the transfer and the fear. But other than that, I would say in PvE, this weapon is only used on a power Reaper, for example, where you put down the staff symbols and instantly enter the Shroud. And you stay there until you go back and instantly use the marks again and swap to the other weapon. So that you only use the attacks and you never want to cast the auto attack here. So that's what it can be used for, but in PvE I would say it's not very common to use that weapon. It's more a competitive mode weapon, but it's very good there. Don't misunderstand me here. It's a very good weapon, very cool design, I would say, that you have so much utility on a very long-ranged weapon. It's really cool. Then you have Spear. Spear is the, so to say, broken melee weapon now. It's on contrast to Greatsword, which is a slow, heavy heads attacking weapon. Spear is very fast-paced and a lot of small 1000 cuts playstyle. And it has a lot of chill as well, a lot of lifesteal on there. It has some interrupt. There's a teleport as well that recharges when you go out of Shroud. It's really cool. It resets your 2 skill. It's a lot of mechanics that are built into the Spear, but it's also, because of that, very, very strong. It has some nice might and also some nice boon negation, boon removal. It's really, really strong. It's a very, very strong weapon in competitive modes because of the lifesteal and the damage. And in PvE, it's very strong for a power belt that has a lot of just baseline damage baked in. It's really, really fun. It's really good. I would say it's probably the best two-handed weapon that Necromancer has overall, because it's very useful in all game modes and it's really good on a lot of power builds because of that. Then we have the underwater weapons, just quickly covering them. I think the underwater spear is really good. It has a lot of nice damage tools and it feels like the spear on land actually quite a bit. It has some nice damage, some nice utility in there, but overall it's an underwater weapon. We don't play it a lot. Then we have the Trident. It's a condi weapon, but it has some nice leap finisher as well. But other than that, it's more like a condi weapon that has some nice CC baked into it. I would say it does its job as a condi weapon, but it's, of course, who uses underwater condi weapons? That's weird. And then we have the Shrouds. We quickly cover the Shrouds as well. Death Shroud, so the normal Necromancer, core Necromancer Shroud, has some really nice utility with Immobilize, Reveal, Lifesteal, a lot of fear uptime, 4 seconds of fear on a 17-second cooldown with Soul Reaping and 1200 range. It's actually insane. You have some boon corrupt here. When you have the trade, you have some nice, so to say, teleport as well, unblockable, so that makes it you can go through reflex. It's actually very interesting what this kit brings. It's slow, but it's actually doing its job as well, so don't underestimate the core Necromancer Shroud. And the Reaper Shroud is, I would say, more aggressive, more fast-paced with the leap finisher, with the fear, with the damage reduction, which is really underestimated here on the 3 skill. And you have some nice damage, AoE and poison with your 4 skill, which is also a world finisher. So I would say the Reaper Shroud is overall more power-based, but still can be used as a condi weapon because of the 4 skill as well. And of course the Executioner side, very long-lasting stun and a lot of execute damage as well in PvE, really, really good. So Reaper Shroud, I would say, way more fun to play than the core Necromancer Shroud because of its fast-pacedness, but it's just a personal preference. Then we have the Harbinger Shroud, which is, so to say, the mirror of the Death Shroud, but it's more mobility focused. So you still have ranged auto attacks and 2 skill, but the 3 and the 4 skill are mobility skills, and the 5 skill is some very heavy CC. So overall, I would say it's a very nice utility focused shroud that does some nice damage as well, but you lose your, so to say, second life. So the melee focus of the 2, 3 and 4 skill are a little bit, yeah, dangerous, because if you go in, you will still get the damage to your normal life. So I think the design is very cool. It's very, you know, high risk, high reward playstyle, and I think that's really fitting to a Harbinger. But now let's talk about the main hand weapons. So for main hand we have Sword. I think Sword is very nice. It's one of the really good weapons that were needed to fill a lot of missing holes for Necromancer, because Necromancer doesn't have a really long-ranged power-based weapon. Yeah, that's missing, and Sword fills that. 900 range power-based weapon that has some lifesteal baked into it, some boon conversion, and has some nice mobility with it, with the 3 skill. So that's really helpful as well, just to get out of sticky situation or follow up. It's really cool. And the auto attack is long ranged, so it can be used as a power-based long-ranged weapon. You can even make it used in a condi build, but it's only power scaling, and it's only used there for the corruption, I would say. Then we have the Axe. Axe is, so to say, the ugly brother of the sword, because it's some really nice power damage from range, but it's missing the mobility, and most of the time nowadays you just take the sword because of the mobility and the boon corrupt and the lifesteal. Why would you take an axe? It has more damage, I would say, and it's easier to play, but the mobility is missing, and you have a boon corrupt as well, but it's quite nerfed in competitive modes. So I think the axe is sadly not as good as you want it to be, even though the life force generation is insane and the vulnerability application. So I would say they buffed Axe so much, it's actually playable in a lot of situations, but the sword with the mobility is actually, for me, more fun to use in a lot of situations. And then we have Dagger. Dagger is very interesting. It's a power-based weapon that is mostly used on support builds because of the nice healing and the wound corruption and the immobilize, and the very easy access to life force. So on a healing build like a Scourge, you can blade it very nice to get a lot of life force. It's not played in competitive modes at all because it's very close ranged, and it's just, why would you play that for the most part? But you can, but it's more used in PvE for a power-based auto attack, very strong to refill your life force, or use it as a support weapon where you can use this 2 skill and 3 skill as well as support and get a lot of life force. I think the design, maybe you have to rework a bit more to make it a bit more supportive and not power-based that much, because I feel like the utility is mostly because of the life force generation of the auto attack. The 2 and the 3 skill are not that crazy. They are good, but you don't take Dagger for that matter, you know. But I think it's really interesting what they can do, some pulse healing and some wound corrupt and immobilize. I think it's really cool, but it's not very fleshed out what the kid wants to do. I think it's just used for the life force for the most part. Then we have Pistol. It's very clear. Pistol, extremely strong CC, very nice ranged torment vulnerability application, also some poison on there. It's really, really good. Pistol is the weapon of choice for all condi builds in all game modes. It's so good. It's everyone uses it. It's reflectable, yes, because it's a projectile, but it's very strong damage. It's very good. The only other contender than to Pistol is the Scepter, but why? You don't have to choose. You have Pistol in one hand and the Scepter in the other hand. That's how you play a condi Reaper, condi Scourge, condi Harbinger. Everything plays like that. It's the most optimal setup, because Scepter is so much crazy boons. Has some nice boon corruption, especially if you take the trait that empowers this Feast of Corruption skill. It's extremely strong. A lot of life force. It's one of the best skills in the game when you empower it. It's so good. And it's also AoE on range. It's really good. The 2 skill is a little bit I would say gimmicky. It's not that fun, but the other two, the auto attack and the 3 skill are really, really good. I think Scepter is very strong as a Condi weapon. Always take that one. Also, you can use it on a power build to get some corruption. In World vs. World, that's quite common, but I would say it's more as a Condi build. And now we are already at the offhand weapons. So sword offhand, I would say very nice because of the fear and the ranged fear and some nice vulnerability and damage. The flip over skills all are quite fun on sword as well, I have to mention, but I would say it's mostly the 3 skill on the main hand sword that is actually quite nice. Other than that, the flip over skill on the fear is really good. I think all the flip over skills are quite good. I would say the offhand sword is mostly run for the fear. It's a really cool 900 range fear. It's really good. Then we have Dagger. Dagger offhand is more clear fleshed out than the normal Dagger because it's a Condi weapon. You know, you get some nice condition, bleeding, some weakness, and you also have a transfer. The transfer is really good in PvE because you get condition transfer for your self-application of bleeding and torment and that kind of stuff. It's really good. But in PvE, it's a little bit lackluster because it's very slow. Yes, you can use it to get some transfers going. It's really fun if you land it, but it's often not that easy actually. So I would say in competitive modes, especially because the 5 skill is really weak there, it's sadly not as good as the other offhand choices. But in PvE, it's a very good weapon. Then we have Focus. Focus is a very clear power weapon. It's extremely strong. It has a lot of power damage scaling. It has amazing wound removal and does even more damage if you remove wounds with the 5 skill. So it's a power weapon that recharges your life force. It's what it wants to do, does it perfectly. So on a power build with X, with sword, it's really, really good. Yeah, it's in all competitive modes very useful as a power reaper, and in PvE as a power-based weapon also very good. In PvE, you have a very high density of power-based weapons on Necromancer, so sometimes you don't have an offhand choice that you can run because you want to have two-handed weapons. So that can be the reason why you don't see Focus that often, but still it's a very good power choice. Then you have Torch. It's way better than the Dagger offhand because it does Torment, Burning, Life Force, has a CC, and gives you might and AoE might. It's overall just way better. You would never take an offhand Dagger if you can't guarantee the transfer, because the Dagger is just way less damage if you can't get some nice transfers going. So yes, there are some Harbinger build and Scorch builds that can use the Dagger, but in competitive modes, Torch is always superior, I would say, in 99.9% of the cases, because it's more flexible and it has way more damage for the most part as well. So in PvE, use mostly both of those. In PvP, I would say Torch is by far the best option. We have Warhorn. Warhorn is very interesting. Warhorn got buffed a lot of times now, or changed at least. Veil of Doom is now applying fear. Previously it was an unblockable daze, now it's an unblockable fear. Really good in a lot of scenarios as well, because it's some nice Plague Blur damage. I would say the unblockable part is really annoying in competitive modes, but you drop your offhand weapon for that, I would say it's not always the best choice, because it's very aggressive. But the nice fear application is really good, and it's a support weapon for that matter, I would say. And Locust Swarm is giving a lot of hits that all steal some life and give swiftness to AoE party members, so it is always quite nice. And it's also healing the allies. That's also quite nice. So I would say it's a clear support weapon nowadays. And I think that's really cool. You can make that work in PvP and World vs. World as some kind of hybrid weapon for a DPS build as well, because of the swiftness and the lifesteal, but it's mostly in PvE as a support weapon that you can run, for example, on a healing Scourge. I think that's really cool design. It's not that useful in a lot of circumstances, but when it's useful, it's actually quite fun. And you can upkeep the swiftness 100% with this now on a heal Scourge, so that's why every heal Scourge runs this. So that's a good weapon just because of that. Let me know your takes on it. I think the Necromancer has some really nice weapons in there. I think not all of them are created equal, I have to say, but overall, I think there should be a weapon for every situation. And yeah, I think that's a really nice summary. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.